All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, FinxS, the diagnostic tool. I'm Kelly Fairhurst and joining me today is Safi. Welcome Safi.
Hi everyone.
Safi will begin looking at the features of FinxS and I will cover how to use the online system as a diagnostic tool. So moving on, Safi, would you like to explain, being our FinxS expert, what FinxS is about?
Sure, happy to. So what FinxS allows you to do is customise your behavioural reports and also your answering interface. What this means is that you can add images, workbooks and text to your reports. You can create job templates and that matches against candidates to the job expectation. Once a person's in your database, you're able to put these results against all the different types of reports that could be available in your system. At HR Profiling Solutions, we've got 7 standard reports that our clients are welcome to use.
Thanks, Safi. And just so we know, a lot of our clients are still in EDOS. Are the questions in the process still the same as answering an extended DISC report?
Yeah, they are. So you just use a different link, but you go through and you answer the same questions, and this provides the information that's produced in the behavioural reports. The other products that we've got available are open questions. Now these open questions can be added as part of the answering process to the behavioural questionnaire. Ideal for recruitment or gathering additional information from a candidate, for example references or their last 3 jobs. It can also be used to gather industry specific information if you require that. We also have our Open 360 which allows feedback on an individual's performance on different levels, for example managers, peers, direct reports. So this report, Open 360, is great to identify the development areas of individuals and also a team, and you can compare one manager's report against another so that you can see who or who isn't performing. You can also do another Open 360 6 to 12 months later to see any improvement. We also have our reasoning analysis product, and that consists of 9 tests. Some of those tests include spatial, numerical, visual, mathematical, logical and memory tests. Then we have our surveys platform, and this is used to create surveys for climate, employee engagement, customer satisfaction and product. In fact, you can really survey anything that you want some feedback on.
Fantastic, Safi. So you've given us some information about what products are available in FinxS. Can you give us the benefits of using FinxS or our new online system?
Absolutely. So one of the great benefits of using FinxS is that you're able to brand the reports and your answering interface to make it look like it feels, so it looks and feels like your own or those of your clients. You can also customise the content of the report, so you can add workbooks, reading instructions, job templates, images, anything that makes it more personalised to your requirements. There are over 1,000 competencies in the system to select from, and you can use these in the report. You can also use them in job templates, and you can review them against any result in the any result in the system against any of the competencies we have available. You can also administer your own account, so you're given full access to the system, and you can also give access to your clients, and that means you can manage the whole system for yourself. You can reorder results against any of the different reports. As I mentioned earlier, we have 7 standard reports available at HR Profiling that our clients are welcome to use. These include sales, management, customer service, administration, etc. You're able to play with the results on screen, and again, this is a really great way of putting candidates against each other and view them against one another, so you can see whose behavioural style is more natural or non-natural for what you're looking for. Under the one platform you've got all the products. As I mentioned before, you've got the behavioural analysis, you've got surveys, Open 360, reasoning analysis, research module. Everything's there. And the other great thing which we're going to look at today is you can combine the results, so you can look at surveys relating Open 360 questions and competencies to give an overall solution that can be used at the organisation, team and also individual level. So it's a really good overall tool.
Fantastic, Safi. Thank you for giving us the benefits of FinxS and why we should move to FinxS. Again, just recapping the benefits, you can play with results on screen. So once someone's behavioural analysis is in the system, you can go back and revisit the results and compare that candidate to any competencies in there. You can also reorder results, Safi, against, say, example of the management report if you were looking at moving them into a management role.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So what we're going to move on to now is a case study known as global production. So let me introduce you to global production. Here it is, and I will give you a bit of background. Global production produces agricultural goods for both consumer and industrial markets. The product is transported to over 300,000 customers all around the world, and it consists of 4 research and development centres and 4 logistics centres. We have 10 top managers as introduced up here. And the CEO is Eric Howard. Now he's 58 years old. He has worked at global production for 2 years and is looking to make some major changes. He's a reputation of being tough, fast-moving, fearless. He's got very good ethics and is very self-confident. His main problem areas. He has identified 5. I'm sure he's got more than 5, but he has identified 5, and they are relating to people. The first one is he feels some resistance to the new values he's trying to introduce. The second problem is not all management are performing. Some are performing better than others. He has some regions that are performing better than others, and some regions have bigger problems than others. He wants one tool that he can identify with or use to help solve his problems. He has over 200 higher level managers, but he wants to identify his main key change agents. And the fifth one is he's sure that there's something he's not aware of. So let's have a look at the solution we are going to offer him, or you are going to offer him. We're going to start by providing information that helps him make the right decisions, and we're going to introduce a 3-step process. The first one is the climate survey. Using the climate survey, we take an organisational values and ask every person working within the organisation how well they are seeing the values and how they are being practiced. The next step is we are going to take all of the managers and measure their competencies to see how they exercise those values and are displayed in their day-to-day work. And we're going to do this by offering Open 360 feedback. The next step is to assess all of the employees' behavioural capacity and what we expect from their jobs using job templates. The final step is to analyse the results. What we are going to focus on as a smaller group, we are going to focus on the marketing officers of Europe. Our first step is to design our survey, and these are the values we want measured. Communication, people management, skills development, promoting, change alertness, reliability, use of power, goal focus, decision making and creativity. So the first step is to design our questionnaire, and we're going to start with the survey. One of the values we're going to measure is, or one of the key things we're going to measure is we are inspired to accept new ideas. So we've designed that as a climate survey. We are then going to reword it into the Open 360, so it brings up new ideas and it inspires them. So we're measuring the company through the survey, or the organisation through the survey, and then we're measuring the management or who is being assessed by using the Open 360. Following that, we're going to create a job template. Now, bringing up new ideas to inspire people is a competency that is measured in FinxS, and it will measure the manager or the individual against those natural competencies in their own work.
Okay, so just to summarise, basically what we're doing is we're using the survey with related questions to the Open 360 questions, and both of these relate to the behavioural competencies that are available in FinxS. So this helps you get the overall picture of the organisation, the management and the individuals within that organisation.
Yes, that's right, Safi. I'm going to get Safi to explain the survey process. She's our survey expert. She's set up a mini survey. So, Safi, can you explain how we create or how we can use a survey within FinxS?
Absolutely. So to begin the process, it really starts with creating the survey. So we have a number of surveys that you're welcome to use as samples, or you're welcome to create your own survey. However, if you're using FinxS for this diagnostic tool, we're using the three products, so the survey, the Open 360 and the behavioural competencies. The questions must relate to each other. So you create survey questions that also feed into the Open 360 and are also part of the behavioural competencies available in FinxS. Once you've created your survey questionnaire, you then create an access code and you upload all the participants in the system so that FinxS is then able to send out the invitations and reminders automatically and manages that for you. You can then get updates so that you understand where the answering status is, so you can see how many have participated and those that may need another reminder. And then when you're happy with the answering status and you're ready to generate your report, this is done online and also through printing a PDF. The best way to view surveys and Open 360s is really online because there's lots of graphics available to view the data.
Great. So what I'm going to do next is look at our survey or climate survey results. Now, when we look at this, I am selecting the European marketing teams, so I'm selecting who I want to filter, so I'm selecting my response groups. For this example, are selecting ranking section, and what this is going to do is show me in order of strength to weakness and area office. There's a variety of ways you can display the data, but for this example I'm using ranking section and a bar graph. Once you've got the results, we can view them on screen. Having a look here, I've got all the European offices. This system works by using a traffic light system, which allows you at a quick glance to identify problem areas. Green obviously means this value is being displayed. Yellow is a development area, and any red is a weakness or an area that needs to be addressed quickly. So Safi, having a look here, what can you notice or what can you tell us?
Okay, thanks Kelly. So I can see quite quickly, and if you'll put the arrow up for me, you'll see quite quickly that there's some red lines that need further investigation within France, and lots of yellow also, and perhaps also a little bit of green, but really it's the red that needs to be addressed. Italy also has lots of yellow, not much red, but we are focusing on France. But just to give a comparison, there's some areas that offices that have got lots of green, one that's got a lot of yellow, and France has a few areas of red that really need further investigating.
Okay, so what FinxS is allowing us to do at a quick glance, looking at the 20 or so offices I've selected, it allows me to hone in on an area that perhaps needs to be addressed first. And this can be used at multiple levels, looking at multiple groups. So I've decided that I'm going to look closer into France, and this is another way to display the graphics. You can either analyse the results using tables, as we did on the other page, or we can display using, and we've chosen a basic column graph here. This graph is displaying a summary of the question groups from all the European offices. So Safi, what can you see?
Great, thanks. I can see quickly that France, which is represented by the purple, is actually scored particularly low in the areas of leadership and also reliability. So all the other offices haven't done too bad. Italy has got a couple, or one below the neutral line. So when we look at this, it's also got an answering scale of 2 to -2, and it's Likert, which gives us the 0 neutral line. We can see any answers that are negative.
That's right, Safi. So at a quick glance here, we can see purple, which is represented by France. or the France Marketing Office is below the line. Particular low areas, our leadership and reliability. So we're going to delve a little bit more into these areas and see what exactly is happening. Having a look here in our leadership, let's look at the leadership questions. Safi, what can you notice?
So we can see quite clearly on the screen using this graphic that all the questions within our leadership are scored below for France, particularly looking at our leaders are supportive, but all the others are below the neutral line. So they really need to be addressing some really obvious problems that are being identified through this survey.
Thanks, Safi. And the other area we're going to have a look at that we've identified with France is reliability. And again, Safi.
Again, you can see that it is all below, bar one, and one that jumps out is I'm treated with dignity and respect, scores very low. So again, that gives you a really quick snapshot of areas that need to be addressed, and I'm sure they need to be addressed quickly.
All right, so we've looked at the French Marketing Office as an organisation, and we've got feedback from all areas regarding what we're trying to measure. We're going to go to the next step now using an Open 360 report. So we're going to measure our little guy in the French Marketing Office to see whether it's a organisational problem or perhaps more a close management problem, and we're going to use this by looking at our Open 360 feedback. And Safi, can you just remind us on the Open 360 feedback process, please?
Yep, sure. So you're going to create the Open 360 questionnaire, and of course this is going to relate to the questions that have been asked in the survey, and they'll also relate to the behavioural competencies that are available in FinxS. Once you've completed your questionnaire, you'll upload the people who are to be assessed, so the management team to be assessed, and also those who are going to participate in providing the feedback. We're going to have the system send out the invitations and reminders, and then we'll be able to get updates from the system to see how the answering status is going. And once we're happy with the answering status or the Open 360 has closed, we're going to generate the report. This report can be generated online, but it also can be produced in PDF. However, most of the graphics are best viewed online to give you the best picture of the Open 360.
Fantastic, Safi. Now, just a reminder too, they can either create their own survey or Open 360 feedback, or they can use one of ours that are already in the system. Great. So when we get our Open 360 feedback, and we're looking specifically at the manager of the French marketing team, what are we going to look for? We're going to look at things relating solely to our findings. So when we looked at our survey, we've identified some key areas that need addressing. We're going to have a look at the traffic light area here, and Safi will explain a little bit how the traffic lights relate in the Open 360 reports. And we're going to compare self-answers with the answers of assessors, or look for blind spots. And we will go a little bit more in depth into what blind spots are later on in the presentation. So again here, Safi, we're having a look at the Open 360 displayed as a table format. You can use either graphs or tables. This is the table format. And what can you tell us and how this works? It also too works in the traffic light system.
It does work on the traffic light system, and what we're looking at on the screen is questions by group. So, and I can see quite quickly that for this particular marketing manager of France, people management and reliability have scored particularly low. And in fact, if you have a look at the subordinates, he's been rated yellow or red, there's no green. Interesting to note though that he has rated himself all mostly green, one yellow, and in fact their supervisor has also mainly rated green, and a couple been recognised as well that he's not perhaps so great with people management and reliability.
So just to recap, the green means they have scored particularly highly, either as themselves or by others. Yellow is either a development area, it's neither a strength or a weakness, and the red is definitely where they've been perceived to perhaps need development, or they're not strong in this area. So recapping there, we can have a look there. People management and reliability, they have scored, or this manager has scored particularly low. So having a look here also at this page, so the pattern follows. When you break down the individual questions within those question groups, what can you see, Safi?
So you can see under people management for subordinates, all of those areas have been identified as needing development. They're red, so they jump out quite quickly. The supervisor has also indicated that people management needs some work, and some of his communication needs some work on too, because in the question group at the top you can see there's quite a lot of red there as well. Again, interesting to see that his self-assessment, he's assessed himself quite well, particularly under communication and skills development, but he does recognise that perhaps there's something that needs to be looked at under people management.
That's right, Safi. So you can see at a glance his development areas, or areas that need to be addressed by using the simple traffic lights system. Again, you can see some negative numbers because they have used the Likard scale, which uses a scale of -2 to +2. So moving right along here, we looked at it in table format. This is the basic column graph. So what can you see, Safi?
Okay, so we can see pulling out quite quickly people management and reliability. His subordinates have rated him average below -1, and also his manager, or the total, and the supervisor has also recognised that perhaps he's not done so well. And the basic column shows you very quickly and very clearly the areas that we need to further drill down on for this guy.
That's right. So we're looking at areas below the line. We're looking at patterns. We can also see, Safi, that he's rated himself quite highly in this area, which indicates
yeah.
perhaps there's a bit of a blind spot, and we'll talk about those later. Drilling down on those two areas we identified, people management. Sorry, I just jumped a screen. Having a look there, Safi, what can you notice?
Very quickly you can notice that all areas of people management, all those questions need to be addressed. His people skills certainly need some work, and he'll need some training or some sort of development plan in place to help him address those.
That's right. And perhaps he's not aware that he needs a little bit of development in those areas.
That's right. He's assessing himself quite highly.
And what this does, it allows you some data or something to work with this person to say, hey, this is how you are perceived. You might see yourself as particularly good, but it gives you some data or some sort of measurement to be able to go in and work with this person. Having a look there, you'll also notice, Safi, reliability.
Yeah, very quickly you can see the areas that he needs to work on. So like areas like building trust and things like his relationships with his subordinates is very, very low. However, he has rated himself pretty evenly and above the line for all of those. So again, when we talk about blind spots, this will become quite clear. He hasn't identified that as an area he needs work on.
Okay, so we've run this Open 360 report. Another type of 360 report feedback you can get is blind spots. And a blind spot is a gap of how or how a person sees themselves and how other people see them. So moving on to that, Safi, we've created a little blind spot report on this person because there are some clear discrepancies. Can you explain a bit how the traffic light works in a blind spot report? It is different from the other two because obviously you're measuring strengths and weaknesses with the other two. But the blind spot or the traffic light works quite differently inside a blind spot report.
It does. So what the blind spot shows you is the difference between the self-assessment and the total score of all other assessors. So if a blind spot is green, then there's little to no blind spot, so the perception of their, in this case, subordinate supervisor is on par with how they've self-assessed, so the blind spot is none to low. If the blind spot is yellow, this means there has been some difference between how he has self-assessed and how the other total assesses. So it's using the total of the subordinates and supervisors to show you a blind spot, and there's some yellow in the example on the screen. And the red blind spot means that there's quite a large difference between the self-assessment and the total of the other assessors. So you can see under reliability, he's assessed himself as 1. The the total of the other subordinate and supervisor together is minus 1.44, which means his blind spot is 2.44, which is quite a large blind spot. Just remember, with blind spots, they can work the other way as well. So for example, if a person self-assesses themselves low and says that it's not a particular strength, yet the subordinates or supervisor have rated them high, this can also show as a negative blind spot, when in actual fact this person just may not be aware that this is actually a real strength for them.
So it's like a hidden talent, really, isn't it, Safi? So
yeah, it is. That's
talent's
a way of explaining it.
Yeah, and a way in which they are displaying a skill they're not perhaps aware of.
Yep.
So just recapping here, the biggest blind spots perhaps are between the subordinates and how he sees himself. Obviously he's portraying perhaps a different, or deals with them differently from their supervisors. And the lowest, or the biggest blind spot is in reliability, indicated by that blind total. So having a look here, we're going to have a look at a job template, and this is the next step in our analysis. We've looked at the survey, we've looked at the Open 360, two different types of Open 360 reports, and the next step is to look at the job template. Safi, will you explain how the job template works, or how they're able to be created and used inside FinxS?
Yep, sure. So we've got over 1,000 competencies available in FinxS to choose from. Just remember that when you're using this consultants tool, when you're using the Open 360, the survey and the behavioural competencies, that you select competencies that relate to the other two questionnaires. You then you create the template by giving it a name like people management, or in this instance could be reliability, and you select the competencies that relate to that job template from the over 1,000 available in the system.
Sorry, Safi, and how can you find those competencies, Safi, inside the system?
So they're actually through in the system itself, in the admin login. It's actually through thanks, Kelly. Under templates, there's actually a product there called Job Template, and you simply select Job Template and choose to create a new template, and it will open it up on screen for you to complete the required fields, and then it takes you into the massive list of 1,000 competencies to choose
And is
from.
there another way to search? Say, for example, I wanted a competency to do with communication?
Yep, absolutely. So you can use the search field at the top and enter in a keyword, or if you're looking for, sorry, you said communication as an example, we've got a whole section in there that has about 30 or 40 competencies relating to communication.
Great. So you've selected them now once you've created it?
And so once you've selected them, you then want to score them, and the scoring goes from -5 to +5. So +5 means that they're high in the job expectation. That's why you've added them to the job template, and it will put the person's results against the job expectation, and we'll show you a screen of that shortly. Once you've scored all of the competencies in the job template, you then save it, and it sits in your database, if you like, under job templates. You can access these job templates a couple of ways. You can add them actually to a behavioural report, so they become a separate page in the behavioural report itself, or you can have them available in open preview. And having them available, well, they are always available in open preview. Having them available in open preview means that you can put anybody's results in the database against these job templates. It doesn't just have to be in the example we're using here. You could have a massive database, and you can always put anyone's results against the job templates in the system.
And this uses no additional points, Safi?
No, it doesn't, Kelly. It's all part of the using FinxS for free. So job templates are an additional product, if you like, available in the system at no additional cost.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's have a look at the job templates that we've created. So we're looking at the marketing manager here, and we've based the job template competencies on the Open 360 questions. The job template gives each competency a percentage match against the candidate's natural behavioural style. It then gives you an overall percentage match. Is that right, Safi?
That's right. So you get a percentage match for each competency, and then you get an overall percentage match. This lets you see how the individual rates overall and also individually, because there could be some competencies a person has scored really well as far as job expectation goes. There could be some competencies that they have not scored particularly well. The example on screen, unfortunately for the marketing manager under people management, his percentage match, his overall percentage match is only 34%. So this gives his manager and also him some quite clear areas that he needs to look to work to develop.
Fantastic. And just, so the little aqua boxes are where we've scored or where someone has scored that particular competency, and the little clear boxes are where that person has been put on the sliding scale.
That's right, it's their behavioural style against the competency.
Great. So having a look at reliability, Safi?
Yeah, so again you can see quite clearly using job templates as part of this overall consultant tool, you can see that the marketing manager in France for reliability has scored only 15%, so the job expectation is all 5s, and he is in the very low end of meeting that job expectation. So this just allows his supervisor a better understanding of what is natural and non-natural for him, and also you know, could they be thinking if this marketing manager is even in the correct role, what additional training might he need, and definitely there's some development that's required.
And it doesn't mean he can't do it, does it, Safi?
No, it doesn't mean he can't do it. It just means that it takes him a lot more energy. So he'd really have to focus at the times that he needed to perform these tasks, so that you know, particularly his subordinates felt like he was actually working towards improving these competencies.
And also, I'm just thinking about using these job templates, Safi. I know Eric was looking for perhaps as people who are going to promote or look for change or drive change. That was one of his problems. You could also use the job templates too, to perhaps identify your change agents through looking at your change alertness and perhaps promoter. So
yep,
he could also look at his natural...
Those. Yeah, sorry, Kelly. Yeah, you could just create a job template and have it in the system that could be looking for key competencies around change management, also helping others through change. You know, certain behavioural styles are good at helping those that are not so good at change, helping them through change. You could also look at future managers. You know, you could have this, Eric could have identified some people that, you know, are potential managers. He can then create a management job template and he can compare. What's also great about job templates is you can put them against multiple people's results. So you can view on screen 3 or 4 people at a time and see how each person has related to the competency, and also it will give you the overall percentage match for each person in the job template.
Fantastic. Great. So moving on, we'll have a look where to next. Maybe as a consultant you can use these tools to identify areas that need development, and we have identified several areas. You can introduce training initiatives or a development plan as a consultant, again, once you have worked with the group or organisation to make these improvements or these personal development plans with these managers. You're able, again, 12 months down the track, conduct the same survey and open 360s and make comparisons. And these comparisons will measure these areas of improvement.
And what's great about those, doing them 12 months later and using them to measure the development areas, you can actually put the two together. So for example, if we use this French marketing manager as an example, if we did another open 360 on him 12 months later, you can put the two results together so that you can see where the improvements have been.
Oh, that's fantastic. So thank you very much for attending this webinar. I know there is a couple of questions that have already been put through. If you do have any questions, you can email kelly.fairhurst@hrprofiling.com or safi.curran@hrprofiling.com, and we will answer your inquiries. This webinar will be recorded and put into the VIP access, and make sure you guys have checked out our new VIP pages. There is new information being added all the time and new improvements happening, so make sure you do check out your VIP access. The next webinar is called Stress from Reaction to Action, and this is on the 25th of March. If you do...
And I'll be sending out, sorry Kelly, I was just going to let you know, I'll be sending out an invite to everyone who's on our database, the information of this where you can log on and register to attend.
Fantastic. So if you do have any questions, those who have used the little question button inside of GoToWebinar, if you're able to email me, that would be much appreciated. Thank you all for listening and enjoy your week.
Thanks very much everyone.